Next question. John.
Coffee or tea? Coffee. Okay.
John, Mineral Well, Texas. He purchased an extreme fixer-upper and was unaware it has a 125-foot perimeter freeform gunite pool with an attached spa, which was built in 1982. The pool is currently full of water, carpeting, old furniture, and other trash. He thinks it's about 3.5 to 10 feet in depth. He is on a tight budget. The location and the way that the pool was built makes removing it and filling it in a costly proposition. And therefore, he thinks that he should get it up and running. All the equipment is gone. There's pipes sticking up from the slab. He's looking at purchasing used equipment, but he doesn't know what he needs or where to get it. If he can get it used, that would be ideal. He tried calling a few renovation companies, but so far has had no luck. So I guess if you were to give advice on a pool that is full of furniture and debris and has some pipes, what would the logical steps be that you would
Here's
take?
the logical steps. If you're going to buy a house that you know is a fixer-upper and it just so happens to have a pool, don't buy it. Unless you're prepared to set aside the budget, knowing the work that's going to be involved. Because especially if you're telling me, okay, here's the thing, especially around, say, 07, 08, and the foreclosures start happening. So what happens is someone starts falling behind on their bills. Well, they kind of want to stay where they live. And, a pool is a luxury item, not a necessity. So what happens is the first thing that they quit taking care of is the pool. So then they're still there, say, for a few years. And then they're finally kicked out, and then whether it's 3, 4, 5, whatever plus years later that someone buys it from the bank, if not right away. Well, the new people who move in, what's going to happen is, well, the house is kind of the most important part. You kind of want to, you need somewhere that's livable. But so what happens is when they move in, it's still another, say, 3, 4, 5 years before the pool gets touched. So that means the pool can sit still for anywhere from 5 to 10 years, even more, all dependent. So if you do buy, say, a foreclosed or a fixer-upper type house, you got to expect to spend money on the pool. Telling me that the pipes are sticking up, but there's no equipment, I can tell you that depending on what you want to do as far as equipment goes, if you want, depending on the size of the pool, the type of pool, we don't know if we're talking, you said the pool is full of like carpet, furniture, that whole thing. So we have no idea what the surface is comprised of. I'm assuming, based on a little bit I heard, that it was a gunite pool. That's my guess. So depending on how the surface looks, if the finish coating is in decent condition, you're at least looking at a drain in either chlorine wash or acid wash or some sort of sanding or cleaning if it's salvageable. As far as the pipes go, okay, here's the thing. The pool's full, so that ideally you would think the pipes would be okay. But that all depends. Was it closed correctly? Is it just the way that it's plumbed that it would stay full even though they're cut on the other end where the equipment goes? So you would have to run a pressure test just to make sure that it holds. As far as the equipment goes, if you wanted to do a decent setup on equipment, you can easily spend 10 grand. The question is, okay, so what's still there as far as electrical, the plumbing? I don't know if you guys are on gas down there, if the gas line is still there, or if that's been compromised at all. So there's quite a bit going into it. Now, wanting to stay on a budget, you would want to get everything out of the pool, clean it up, see what it looks like. As far as the equipment goes, your best bet is going to, if you do this for a living as far as fixing and flipping, then you should have a network. You should have some contacts, and you need someone who's in the pool industry, or at least someone who's good at finding these types of things. You can find with Craigslist and a few others. You can find some used equipment that you would that you might be able to get some use out of. But the thing is, without seeing your pool, as far as size-wise, like how many gallons, what size plumbing, what we're looking at, I can't tell you, hey, you need this size pump, this size filter, etc. You know that you need a pump. You got to move the water. That's basically the heart of the system. You need a filter because you need to know how to clean it. Whether that's a cartridge filter, I think there's some. This was down in Texas, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I think cartridge filters are a little more popular down there, depending on where you live in, simply because there's not as much water waste. So there are some regulations as far as where you live of what you can get away with. But if it's not a cartridge, then it'd either be a sand or a DE filter. Then, you know, you have all your different types of sanitizers, as far as if we're talking about salt systems or chlorinators or anything along those lines, or UV oxidation systems. Those, like, okay, you want to do this as cheaply as possible. At the very least, you need a pump and you need a filter. Ideally, most people like a heater. Down your way, maybe it's a heat pump, hard to say. But you need at least those two, and then it's a matter of making sure that the plumbing's not compromised and having decent valves and the like. Is there a way to do it cheaply and have it work? Yes, ideally, but it's just like, you know, going into the question is, they say you went into an extreme fixer-upper. That being the case, is it might get done cheap, but you really don't know how extensive the damage is. So that being the case, you know, just like working on a house that's a fixer-upper, is, you know,